Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Heavenward Thinking. I'm excited to show you today an interview that I got to have with Curt Anderson. We've had him on our shows here at Drash Ministries a couple of times, but this is the first time we've been able to have him on Heavenward Thinking. So I hope that you'll be encouraged by today's interview release. And he's going to be talking about his new show coming out soon called The Adventure and how he's able to use that show to share Christ with other people in a unique way. And hopefully you're challenged to do that in your own life. So join us today for this special episode. All right. So as we're getting started, this is your third appearance here at Drash Ministries, but this is your first on this show, Heavenward Thinking. Can you give our viewers a quick introduction of who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Curt Anderson. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I've been touring as a musician for the last decade around the world. I've toured almost 60 countries, and yeah, so I've played music for a long time, and now I'm doing a few different things.
That's awesome. The last time you were on the show at Drash Ministries, you were talking a little bit about your new TV show. Can you, now that you have more information to give, can you give our listeners what the concept is of your show?
Yeah. So I've been traveling internationally for so long, and it's a huge passion of mine. Look, the show is. Deserving people will be nominated by friends and family, and we'll surprise someone for each episode who will join me on this kind of adventure of a lifetime somewhere around the world. So if you picture Extreme Home Makeover, but a travel show, that's what this is. So life change. It's called The Adventure, life-changing travel, and the idea is life change through incredible travel experiences.
That's awesome. How did you come up with this show, and what inspired you?
Yeah, my first international trip was when I was, I think, like 2 years old. My mom was an exchange student in Germany and in high school, and so when I was born, not too long after, we started traveling. My family, never really had much in those early years of my parents' marriage, but travel was the thing that they believed in. It was the thing that they saved for every year, and I have been really interested in television for a long time, longer than music. It was something I just kind of didn't think about for a long time, but my friend John Steingard from previously from Hawk Nelson, we had gotten on the first flight to start a round the world trip in 10 days. And I look back at him and it's like, man, we're going to figure out a way to just do this all the time. And so, yeah, finally, 2017, Christmas, I remember it was Christmas in, where were we? In St. Martin, on the beach. I remember standing in the kitchen and I said, I've got it. I got it. And my family's like, well, got what? And I had been trying to figure out, like, okay, well, what is it? What is the show? What makes it different? Why do we need another travel show? And just figuring out along the way that my gifts, I feel like, are encouraging and empowering people to break out of their comfort zones, experience new things, and this idea that when you discover the world, you discover yourself. And I wanted to give that experience to other people, people who might not otherwise ever get that opportunity. And I've experienced throughout my life the ways that travel impacts you, that it changes you. It changes how you interact with the world around you. It changes how you see the world around you. And I think in turn, it changes how you interact and see yourself. So, it was kind of that idea pop in 2017. And then essentially 3 years of rewriting and rewriting and rewriting and figuring out all the little pieces and how it all works and trying to get rid of the weak areas and make it better and better.
That's fantastic. When do you start the filming of the show?
We started last month, so we shot the first part of the show is the reveal. So we go and we show up at this special person's home or business or wherever they are, and we surprise them with this big, like, welcome to the adventure. And so we filmed that in California last month, and lots of tears, lots of excitement, lots of wow, what's going on? So yeah, we did that last month, and then next month, middle of February, we go into the next phase, and that portion is the international trip. So we'll film overseas. So we've gotten, I've partnered with a dozen or so companies and brands that are sponsoring the show, including the tourism board of the country where we're going. So yeah, we will keep filming next month, February.
That's awesome. Is it complicated at all? Now we're in the middle of a pandemic. How has that complicated your international traveling?
Yeah. It is very, very complicated. Less so if you're, a person or two people or three going to take a getaway. More complicated when you're traveling with an 8-person crew plus 4 local crew in the destination country, and traveling with all this gear and equipment and all the stuff, and making sure you're testing before you leave, and now we all need to test before we come home, and doing all the things to just make sure everyone is protected and safe, and that we're being responsible. So yeah, it is incredibly complex right now. Part of it for me was about a year of, I had a spreadsheet of 180 cells, 180-ish cells, and I just tracked over and over and over every few days what countries are open, what countries can we travel to, what are the restrictions, what are the requirements, how seriously are they taking things? Are they just saying, anyone can come, do whatever you want, or is it like we're protecting as best we can? And from that list, came up with about 25 countries that seem to be pretty stable options of where to travel. And I reached out to those countries and their tourism boards, their public, their PR representatives, and formed not only a partnership for the pilot, but essentially have built the relationships now with most of the world. So when we go into shooting for the series, we'll have relationships with almost every country out there to film more. But so yeah, it's very complex. The last year, normally in a year, I travel 250,000 miles a year in the air. I'm touching down in 5 countries a month. This year, I have not left the country since my last trip I was in Netherlands, Hong Kong, and Morocco last November 2019.
Wow.
So it's been, what is that, 14, 15, 7, I don't know. It's almost a year and a half since I've been out of the country. And I took, so normally 250,000 miles I fly a year. This past year I flew 13,000. So it was a very different year. Essentially unemployed since last spring. Not able to tour, not able to do shows like a lot of people in the industry. So it required a shift, a focus. Am I going to let this be the thing that crushes us, or am I going to find the blessings in it? And it, I'll be honest, it took some time to find the blessings in it. The first few months of it, last spring I was scheduled to do 4-month worth of touring around Asia, 12 countries around Asia, Oceania, and it started to cancel kind of mid-January, and it was really hard to watch all of that slip away, my family's income slip away, and have no one else around me be able to relate, because everyone was like, well, it was still this, the virus was still this thing that most people really hadn't thought of or heard much of in the U.S. And so to have all that slip away when people just couldn't relate, it took some time, but we figured. It ended up meaning I had a ton of time to be home and enjoy the time with my family, and it's been an incredible year for that with my family, and time to just sit and work on this show and get it ready to go.
That's awesome. You mentioned your touring. How does this show relate with your Christian music that you've released? Are you going to be able to show people the light of Christ maybe in a different way in the show?
My goal in life, I feel like, has always revolved around this often misquoted, often paraphrased quote, but still I like it in the poignance of not the poignance. I like where the purpose of the quote. Saint Francis of Assisi, is saying essentially, preach the gospel at all times. When necessary, use words. I think that's what I was called to do. I love getting to be in churches and leading worship, and I love getting to share the love of Christ. I feel like this show is the same purpose as my music was. It's just a different medium. It's a different tool to do the same thing. But through this show, what I get to do is show people the love of Christ simply by loving them, by being loving, kind, accepting, and embracing embracing everyone as equal, no matter where you are, no matter if you're talking to the billionaire or the destitute. Everyone deserves the same amount of respect and decency and love, and that's what we get to do with this show. So I think I'm incredibly excited to get to show people, especially in what's been such a divided kind of year for a lot of people, to show people the love of Christ in a way that is that's simply all about love.
Mm-hmm. Such a great idea to be able to use your creative talents and gifts that God's given you to be able to share the gospel, as you said, in a different way, not necessarily with words, but with your actions.
Yeah.
As you're preparing for this show, you launched an initiative to raise funds. Can you tell our viewers how they can support your show and your fundraising that you've been doing?
Yeah. So, look, making a TV show, especially an international show, traveling 10 people, is expensive. I think a lot of people would be surprised to learn that most TV they watch every 60 minutes costs about $1 million. I've gotten things, if we had to pay for everything for this show, it would cost about $220,000. But thankfully, through sponsors and brand partners providing products and services, a lot of services, and some financial support, I've gotten the overall budget down to a bit over $20,000, and so we, which is still a lot, but in comparison, so yeah, I launched an Indiegogo campaign, with the goal of, I hesitated for a long time. I've never done something like that before, the crowdfunding, but for this, I thought, how interesting would it be for people maybe to get to contribute, be a part of something they might not otherwise get to be a part of? Like, who gets to say, look, I helped this show on whatever network come to life? And so, yeah, I launched the campaign on Indiegogo last week, and with some interesting perks, like, you'll getting your name in the credits, associate producer credit, executive producer or co-executive producer credit, behind the scenes content. We've made a kind of a members only area of my website where there'll be all kinds of behind the scenes stuff from the show and production and Q&A stuff. What else is there? We'll send a postcard from the destination, a souvenir from the destination country. So yeah, Indiegogo. We got that rolling last week, and we're almost halfway funded. So we've got about 20-ish days to go on that, and just over halfway to go to get to the goal.
That's fantastic. So as we're wrapping this up today, how can our viewers here at Heavenward Thinking, how can they incorporate all these ideas, your creativity, and develop a heavenward perspective of life where they use their gifts and talents to share the light of Christ with people in a unique and creative way as you're doing?
I think it just comes down to knowing, believing that you don't have to be a musician or a TV person or a pastor or a youth pastor, or you don't have to be any of that to impact people with the love of Christ. You can be any job or no job. There are ways to in your own life to find what you're good at, find what you enjoy. Do you like baking cookies? Bake cookies for your neighbor. I'm sure they would really like them right now. Just those little tiny things. It doesn't matter what you do or what you don't do. I think right now it's all about I think the best voice we can be for Christ is to love people even if they are different than us, and even if they believe different things than us. And get creative with the things that you're passionate about, the things that you enjoy, whether baking or art or music or cleaning or building something. I think anyone can use whatever gifts they have, whatever skills they have to love on others.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we tried to make it convenient for the Indiegogo. So the quickest, easiest way to get there is CurtAndersonMedia.com. You go to CurtAndersonMedia.com. There's a button right there that you can click, and it'll take you right to the Indiegogo campaign. For right now, if you contribute $25 or more to that, you'll be entered into your own little adventure, a weekend getaway. I'll take care of the round-trip airfare and 2 nights accommodations for 2 people anywhere in the continental U.S., Mexico, or the Caribbean. So you can go off to the beach in Jamaica or wherever you want. A $25 contribution enters you into that drawing. And for everyone's safety and comfort and convenience, the winner will have up to 2 years to use that. So CurtAndersonMedia.com, and you can contribute, get the rewards, and get entered into that free trip drawing.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good to chat. Good to see you guys again.
Man, we appreciate you.
Yeah, likewise. CurtAndersonMedia.com. Jump in that Indiegogo and come and help us do something really, really cool.
Well, from our team here at Heavenward Thinking, we would like to thank Curt Anderson for taking his time to come on our show and do an interview with us. We hope that you will check out his show, The Adventure, and that you will maybe join him in the fundraising for the show. If not, we hope that you will just take what he says to heart and remember that you can share the gospel with people in unique ways, as Curt Anderson was showing. Join us next week for another episode of Heavenward Thinking.